body parts. Like you feel like tingling, and there's a little like ants all over your body, and you just can feel the blood is not going to the lymph side, and your skin is feeling a little funny. And this is, if you feel this, there's also could be a chance there would be a jinn that needs to be treated. Number 7, and this is true, losing sight, hearing, or any other thing, or you become paralyzed for some unknown reason. You become handicapped. You can't move your hands permanently. You can't move your legs and so on. This is also something that a person should consider. Number 8, and this is between again husband and wife or the married couple. If there's a pain during the intimacy, there's a lot of pain, discomfort, and you feel a lot of pain in the muscles, then this is also a sign of that. Number 9, if you feel your heartbeat is increasing fast, you did not run, you did not climb upstairs or uphill, you feel the heartbeat start all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. What is the cause? Allahu A'lam. But you don't know at that moment. This could be one of the causes. Number 10, being clumsy. You try to carry something and you drop that thing. You try to take the water and mashallah you spill the water. Sometimes even you try to make a statement or say a statement and then it doesn't come out right, or you just can't express your feelings well enough. You can't state a statement. So this is also, and this is not with you from day one. It's something that for a certain time happened to you, and this change is a change that is unknown why. Number 11, as-sara, or epilepsy. Or we call that epilepsy. Yes. And this happens to a lot of young people. And the doctors say, well, we don't know. Or we call it nervous tension. Just don't know. The person just... And sometimes you see them, but in this case, sometimes they talk to you and they mumble things that you don't understand what they're saying. Sometimes they don't talk at all. They just start shaking. And sometimes they respond in terms that is unknown, but you can figure out, what he's saying this, but I don't understand what he's talking about. So all this is included. Number 12, which I think a lot of young people can relate to, laziness. Being lazy, it's unusually become all of a sudden lazy, and you don't know why you're so lazy, then this could be one of the reasons that you have these things. Number 13, not be able to focus. Not at school, not at your job, just unable to focus. You want to do something that was normal for you for a period of time, and all of a sudden you just can't. Try to study, do your homework, you can't. And this is also one of the things that is known. Number 14, disliking your home or a member at your home. Could be a wife, could be a husband, not because she drives you crazy and you just don't want to be at home with her. No. Alhamdulillah, she was your sweetheart yesterday, and today is A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. If this sudden change happens, then you should know something is wrong with that. Number 14, feeling difficult. 15, feeling difficult to perform the ibadat. Prayer. Oh man, Salah already? We pray Fajr, 6 o'clock. Dhuhr, 1:30. Wow, already. So difficult. You want to read the Quran, but the Quran is so heavy. It's not easy at all. Not because you can't read, it's just you don't feel like reading Quran. You can read magazine or newspaper. You can read all Toronto Star, no problem. But when you try to open the Quran, it's like, wow, I have to read the whole page? Wow. That is also one of the signs. If you cannot concentrate on your salah, is also included. Or listen to Quran is included. But at the same time you find easy to listen to music is easy, but not the Quran. Number 16, you feel comfortable being with the people who consume, or you yourself consume alcohol, or do haram things. And again, you're talking about a normal person who was not a habit of doing these things, and all of a sudden now he's doing this. Number 17 or 16? Number 17, sadness. You're sad. You're sad. People are trying to cheer you up, but you're just sad. Why? You mean, what happened? Nobody is hurt. Everything is okay. You healthy, alhamdulillah. You have your family around you, but you feel sad. You just feel moody. Number 18, not being, keen about your cleanliness. Not being keen about your cleanliness. And this is, again, shaitan loves these things. Number 19, or loneliness. You want to be alone. Seclusion, you just want to be in your room. You don't want to come out. You don't want to socialize with people. And this is one of the big signs that a person who used to come to the masjid and talk, now all of a sudden he's in his room or her room, they don't want to come out. And when they want to deal, nowadays especially, when they want to deal with the world, they just go through that little window called internet. They just use that little screen and they go through that and they communicate with the rest of the world through that. But they don't want to be associated with anyone. They don't want to be in gatherings or in groups or sit with friends. And the person was never like this all of his life or her life. Number 20, seeing something that is unreal. Maybe right now you're sitting and you see someone unusual, a person sitting next to you, but his feet looks like the feet of a donkey or something like this to you. And you say, what is this person doing? But you're the only one who's looking at it. And you're the only one who's seeing that person. One of the people that I was treating for a very long time, and he used to have jinn that is with him. And sometimes they're very tricky, because when you coming to treat that person, they leave that person. And it's tough. Every time you want to treat that person, they leave that person. And when you leave that person, they come back to that person. So this person, wherever he goes, they will follow him. And they will show him things that nobody else can see it but him. No one else can see it. They will show him that. Imagine you're waiting for the bus and you have an anaconda right next to you. Or you have a huge snake right next to you. And you're the only one can see it. Not only one who can see it, you're the only one who can feel it. Oh yes, you can feel them as you feel your own skin. You can feel them. And that's why one day what they did, they brought a pet, an animal that they used. It was a lizard. So they said to the kid, don't move. When the sheikh comes, don't move. And he's lying down now. So now I'm reading the Quran and he's shivering. I said, what is wrong? He said, don't you see? I said, no, I don't. On his chest was this huge lizard with the tongue sticking out, dripping blood on his chest. Now he can feel the wetness of the blood. He can feel the coldness of the blood. I can't see anything. I can't feel anything, but he can. And that's why it's very easy for the person to say, I'm in pain. I'm in pain. And help me. But you can't help him because you cannot do anything for that individual. So this is sometimes, if that person, then definitely that person has jinn. If the jinn is Muslim, But a jinn mubtadi', you also like them visiting the graves or kharabat, abandoned area, or sometimes grave of the awliya according to them. So that is usual. That's something that is common also. The 22nd point in this that a person may feel is feel tiredness after performing a salah or ibadah. He prays Salat al-Isha, but he feels, my God, he's been running for the whole day. He's been running whole day. Wow, we pray Isha, alhamdulillah. Now, let us talked about the psychological aspect, we talked about the physical aspect, and we will talk about, bi'idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the spiritual, or things that are related to the soul itself. Number one, feeling uncomfortable when the name of Allah is mentioned. Feeling uncomfortable. And that's why a lot of people who have jinn, they don't come to the masajid. And even they say, we know something is wrong with us, but we're not going to the masjid to listen to a Quran, or they themselves don't like to recite all the Quran being played at all. Number two, completely would avoid any act of worship. But he would love things, watching TV, listening to music, playing games, video games. Where are those ones who are obsessed with video games? Sometimes you'll be playing with jinn. I'm not kidding. Sometimes you'll be playing, oh my God, But you have a ifrit on the other end. Number three, sudden change in the person's behavior. Sudden change in the person's behavior. Number four, evil thoughts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh, does He really exist? How do you know that He exists? Who told you? Did you see Him? Did you talk to Him? Why would you pray to Him? Evil thoughts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, the next list, which is the fourth and the last, bi'idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are the list that relates to your sleep. If you see these things in your sleep, then most likely something is wrong. Or in the process of going to bed. First, it's not falling asleep and having difficulty falling asleep. You find very difficult. You toss and you turn and you stay and you do this and you can't sleep. You can't for a very long time. Number two, unusual concern. Again, extreme concern just before you go to bed. Number three, nightmares. Now, number four, I don't know how to word this, but it's a strange feeling. You have someone pressing you down. You want to allow you to talk. You want to scream. Maybe you can hear the people in the other room. You want to scream. You want to move. You can't move. It's very, very uncomfortable. But you feel that you're paralyzed. Nothing in your body moves. Nothing responds. Nothing. If that ever happened to you, though Ibn al-Qayyim has a different explanation, but most of the time, if that happened to you, then you should be concerned. You should be concerned. And sometimes it's very uncomfortable, it's painful sometimes, because psychologically, physically, nothing is wrong with you, but you can't move. You want to scream for help, but nobody can hear you. Nobody can hear you. Number five, fearful dreams. Dreams are, you're just afraid. Sometimes you don't remember. It's not a different, nightmare is something that usually, you can remember. But it's just you're afraid of something and you cannot touch what you're afraid of. Number 6, I'm sorry. You see in your dream people with these strange features. Very tall, very short, very, wide, very narrow, skinny. Number 7, you see yourself falling from a higher point, the top of a cliff or a mountain, or you see this. Number 8, sleepwalking. If you sleepwalk, then there's an issue. You sleepwalk and you wake up and you're in the middle of the bathroom, for example. You're outside, or you sleepwalk. Number 9, teeth grinding. You grind your teeth in your sleep. When you sleep, you grind your teeth. And sometimes your parents will say, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Wake up. Why are you doing this?" Or your sibling will tell you, or your husband or your spouse will tell you, "You've been grinding your teeth last night. What's wrong with you? What are you eating?" And of course, I was in Jannah, mashallah, eating from the food of Jannah. But no, you're grinding your teeth. So something is wrong with that. Number 10, crying in your dreams. You're crying. There's a cries and you cry in your dream, then there's something wrong. Or sometimes hysterically laughing, just laughter. Or you scream out loud and then you wake up. Or even yawning is part of the symptoms of a person having a jinn. If you have a dream that you're in a cemetery or a graveyard, these places, which is number 11, that's also a problem. If you see yourself walking in a pool of blood in a dream, walking in a pool of blood, this is also another symptom. You see strange animals in your dream, such as cats, dogs, camels, tigers, snakes, lizards, monkeys, elephant. If you see these things, then that's a sign of something that's wrong with you. But it has to be more than once. If you see yourself going to a church, you hear the ring of the bell, most of the time you have jinn, but the jinn is Christian. The jinn is Christian that is trying to convince you to, or at least consider Christianity. Now, this is the symptoms. And the reason I listed, so you know yourself. How many of you think you have jinn? Raise your hand. Oh yeah, you're right. None of you.
You can stay here till the morning with the lineup.
Money. I don't know. Maybe the jinn is a rich jinn or something. No. Or Jews jinn. Jews jinn. So this is the symptoms. If you see anything unusual, but just by the way, this is not. This is what I mentioned. Is not only thing that the ulama will tell you, but there are other things. There are other things. So you have any of this, I would say, especially if they are loud, or if you saw yourself and say, "Well, I have that. Oh, I have that too. I have that 3." Then you should consider yourself. If this thing is something that keep coming back again. So inshallah, we'll stop here. We'll take some of the questions, inshallah. And the sisters can write down the question. We will entertain the questions. But I hope the questions is pertaining to the subject of the symptoms. Yes? Al-Juz'i wal-Kulli. He said, what type of mesh that these symptoms can be applied on is the one that we say either complete mess or partially mess. Al-arid, right away. Al-arid, unless you sleep, on the time you sleep and you feel this quick, but usually that is very quick, very, very quick mess, and it sometimes lasts seconds, sometimes less than that. Now,
So I have a family member who has conversation with his sleeping. That's right.
yes, no.
Someone knows he has this symptom, and he says, I'm not going to anyone, I will worship Allah as much as I can, recite Quran, but he doesn't go to anyone for help. And he's patient.
The brother is saying, someone has these symptoms, and he knows that something is unusual, but he's saying, I'm going to worship Allah, and I will have sabr. The person can have sabr if as long this thing is not really bothering him when it comes to act of worship. Because the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, hadith sahih, that an old black lady came to him and said, Ya Rasulullah, inni usra. They said, sara inni. So ask Allah to cure me from this. He says sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if you wish, I can make that dua for you and you will be cured. Or you can have sabr with this and your reward is Jannah. She said, Ya Rasulullah, I'll be patient with it. However, ask Allah to cover me at the time of Sarah. What she used to do, she used to, her aura used to get exposed. She said, ask Allah to protect me from that and I'll be patient. And that's why Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu, he said to one of his students, if you want to see do you like to see a person from Ahl Jannah? He said, yes. He said, come on. And he showed this old black lady who was cleaning the masjid. He said, that woman is from the people of Jannah. From the people of Jannah. And he narrated the incident. However, going to someone and asking that person to help you is from a tadawi, from seeking cure. When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam قال, Ya ibad Allahi tadawu, O the servant of Allah, seek cure. Seek cure. So this mess is like any illness. Cold, you go to a doctor. You don't say, I'm going to be patient. You have cancer, you don't say, oh, cancer, you say, no. In cancer, you say, no, I'm going to be patient. But you go and you treat yourself. This is like this exactly. You have heart problem, you have kidney problem, you have kidney problems. You go to a doctor and the doctor tries to treat you. Here, the doctor is a person who knows the Sharia and the Ruqya Shari'iyah, and they recite Quran on you. And Rasulullah is telling you, Ya ibadallah, go and seek a cure for your illness. So that person should go and follow the sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because he's the one sallallahu alayhi wa sallam who ordered us to go and seek cure for this illness. No, it's true. Yes.
I have a similar type of question the brother asked. Isn't there something that you can do yourself to make that Rageah or Allah?
That is, the brother says, is there something that I can do to protect myself? There are certain ayat that will protect you. And this is not only for the person who is being affected by jinn or shaitan, but for everybody. For everybody. We should recite Ayat al-Kursi and al-Ikhlas and Ma'udatayn after every Fajr and after every Isha. As Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, we should keep our children, kama fi Sahih Bukhari, we should keep our children in the house at the time of sunset. You should never allow your children to be outside when the sun is setting. Make sure they're inside. Even if you have animal, if you have cattle, if you have a livestock, make sure they are in their designated area at the time of setting, or the time of sun setting. Because Rasulullah alayhi wa sallam, he said, why? Because this is when the shaitan is the strongest. So when they come out, and the shaitan, by the way, they're strong at night, they're weaker during the daytime. Now, yes?
So the person who has a jinn, they commit sins, but that sins be forgiven?
The brother is saying, if the person commits sins during or while he's affected by the jinn, would his sins be forgiven? Sometimes there's a different فيها تفصيل. If the person can stop this evil or resist, يعني sometimes you have to understand the shaitan would ask you to do these things and you will say no. Like when we, at the time of headache, when you have headache, sometimes shaitan or your nafs doesn't want to pray, but you pray. And you force yourself to pray because this is a ta'ah. And then you get the headaches. And you think, oh, maybe I went down too fast, or maybe this. And then you say, maybe next time I'll sit down and I pray sitting down. But because you force yourself. So as long as you have some authority over this, that can prevent this, then you won't be held accountable. But if you are out of control, and you don't know what you did, you will not be held accountable. There was a brother who was we were treating him, and the jinn forced him to go to the kitchen, get a knife, go to his father and kill his father. So this is what the jinn was forcing him to do. So he went to the kitchen. He went to the kitchen and he got a knife. He got a knife and he went to his father's room and he opened the door and he was resisting the jinn until his father felt him and he realized his son is standing over him with a knife. He had some kind of feelings or authority over himself that he was resisting it. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes they will force you to do khair because the jinn himself is a Muslim jinn. Wallahi, sometimes they will bring you to the masjid or force you to come to the masjid. Sisters' questions are letters. If you can read Ayatul Kursi and still have some of these signs, does it mean you have jinn or a jinn? If you can read Ayatul Kursi, sometimes it's not necessary. Just because you can read Ayatul Kursi doesn't mean you have no jinn. Some of the jinn that are hafid, or they know a lot of Quran and they possess people. So just because you're able to read doesn't mean you don't have jinn. And simply because you can't read doesn't mean you have jinn. How do you know if someone is lying about having a jinn in them? Well, let that person fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why would you lie about illness? Why would you say, oh, I have? But I remember a sister, long time ago, she needed attention from her relative. And her relative just got married, and she felt like, oh, he's not, that's not giving me the attention that I need. So she would pretend that she has jinn and roll around the floor, but that is not right. If you have one of the symptoms that you have mentioned, does it mean you have a jinn? If this one, let us say every night you see a nightmare, or you see a jinn, or you see a dog, or you see a camel, every other night, only one, but you do have it. Yes, we saw a hand in the back. Yes.
What do you do if a person has been cured of a jinn and the major side effects are cured, but he still has the minor one in, and said he couldn't cure it?
If the person is being cured from the jinn, and you say he had a minor and major signs of this, and he was cured from the major problems, but he still have some minor, it doesn't mean, that means the jinn is weakened, is getting weak, but he did not leave. So the person has to continue reading the Quran, doing the ibadat, getting the treatment until he is completely cured from the jinn. I frequently daydream. Don't want to leave room. Hear whispers like, is Allah real? Am I possessed because I feel a lot like this list? if this is the case and you don't want to leave the room and you hear the whispers, or you even feel something talking to you, or something is tapping you, or